What happens when a love you believed was buried forever suddenly reappears without warning or explanation? In the familiar quiet of Heartland, a different kind of storm is gathering, not of weather, but of unresolved memories, difficult choices, and the undeniable power of the heart. Season 19 doesn't start peacefully. It starts with the impossible. Ty Borden is back. Life at Heartland had found a semblance of rhythm again. Amy Fleming, still shadowed by the memory of Ty, had settled into a manageable routine. Lindy is growing quickly, her laughter echoing in the barn and fields, a sound so reminiscent of her father's. The ranch operations are stable, the family bond is strong, and Amy is coping, perhaps not fully healed, but moving forward, which felt like progress. Nathan is no longer in the picture. Their relationship ended gently, respectfully, underscored by the unspoken truth that Amy wasn't ready. Her heart hadn't made space for anyone else, despite her efforts for Lindy, for herself, and for the hope that time could mend what loss had shattered. The truth symbolized by Ty's engagement ring remained close, worn around her neck. So when a knock sounded at the ranch house door on that early spring morning, Amy wasn't prepared for her world to shift on its axis. Jack was in town, Lou was occupied inside. Amy opened the door casually, unprepared by any change in the wind, the birdsong, or the day's tempo. Just a knock. Just a door. And then Ty. He stood there looking worn and older, yet undeniably him the same eyes that truly saw her, the same familiar stance. Silence hung between them. The ring on Amy's neck felt heavier, as if it sensed the impossibility of this moment. The world had mourned Ty. His family had grieved after a supposed tragic accident and complications. There had been a funeral, a service, the long, painful journey towards acceptance. Yet here he was breathing alive, looking at her as if years hadn't passed between them. Amy's thoughts raced. Was this real? A hallucination? Had grief finally broken her? Before Amy could articulate anything, Lindy ran to the door, saw him, and froze. Ty knelt, tears welling as he whispered her name. Lindy. It wasn't a dream. That initial reunion was dominated by stunned silence and searching gazes rather than words. Ty offered only partial explanations. His absence wasn't by choice. There were things he couldn't yet reveal, complexities tied to why he vanished, dangers too great. The truth was far more tangled than anyone knew. Threats existed, forcing a decision to protect his family, a desperate choice leading to years away. Amy absorbed his words with her entire being, her heart wrestling with the reality. Ty was alive, but the pain didn't evaporate. It shifted, deepened, became more acute. Where had he been during birthdays, tears, milestones? Why no contact? Why return now? And the most terrifying question, was she prepared to let him back into her heart? As word of Ty's return rippled through the family, reactions were intense and varied. Jack, ever the protector, demanded answers. Lou wept. Tim was enraged. Georgie, visiting from college, couldn't mask her shock. The event was an earthquake for everyone, but the epicenter was Amy. Ty's return wasn't just about him being alive. It unearthed hope, confusion, heartbreak, and the daunting prospect of loving him again. The episode concludes with Amy standing alone in the barn, the ring still around her neck, Ty watching from the doorway. Nothing is settled, nothing is clear, but one truth hangs heavy in the air. Love doesn't truly die. It waits. Ty's reappearance is more than a shock. It's a seismic event that shakes loose every emotion Amy thought she had contained. For days, she grapples with the meaning of his presence and what it doesn't mean. He's alive, yes, but does he still belong to her? Does she still belong to him? Tom refuses to stand still even for miracles. Their initial conversations are tentative, punctuated by gaps, unfinished thoughts, and silences heavy with unspoken words. Ty shares only fragments about his time away, mentioning danger, necessity, and a commitment to protect them. He alludes to people who wanted him gone, threats that made staying impossible. But the narrative feels incomplete. Amy senses unspoken truths weighing on him. She finds herself constantly observing him, trying to reconcile the man before her with the husband she lost. He's changed quieter, more wary, perpetually scanning his surroundings. Attention resides within him, a distance that wasn't there before. He handles Lindy's toys with a gentleness bordering on fear, as if afraid to break them. He observes the horses from the paddocks, but hesitates to enter the barns immediately, relearning Heartland. His family, Amy, even himself. Amy tries to maintain normalcy for Lindy, for the family, but internally she's in turmoil. She dreamt of this, Ty's return, but the reality overwhelms her with unspoken words and unasked questions. Late one night, unable to sleep, she finds Ty in the barn, brushing Spartan. The motion of his hand through the horse's mane is pure muscle memory, achingly familiar. After watching him for a moment, she finally speaks. Amy, why didn't you try to send a letter, a message, anything? Ty pauses, shoulders tense. Because if I had, they would have found you too. In narrator, it's the first concrete piece of information, yet it only deepens the mystery. Who are they? Why is it safe now? What changed? Ty offers no further explanation, simply stating it wasn't safe before, but is now. The fear lingering in his eyes tells Amy his ordeal is far from concluded. As days turn into nights, Amy feels trapped between her past and her present. Her life continued without Ty. She raised their daughter, navigated grief, built defenses around her heart. Now his presence cracks those walls, making the life she constructed feel unsteady. She questions everything. Even young Lindy perceives the emotional undercurrents between her parents, excited, hopeful, yet confused. Lindy, to Amy one night, is Daddy staying forever this time? Caught off guard, Amy can't bring herself to lie. She holds Lindy close. Amy, whispering, I hope so. But hope feels insufficient now. Meanwhile, quiet tensions simmer within the family. Jack grapples with broken trust. His instinct is to protect Amy and Lindy, but believing in Ty again is difficult. Lou seeks answers, subtly probing, trying to piece together the narrative of Ty's absence, even reaching out to old contacts. Georgie, more emotionally guarded, watches skeptically. She loves Ty like a brother, but vividly remembers Amy's devastation after his death and fears history repeating itself if his return brings only more uncertainty. Amidst it all, Amy continues to wear the ring, a testament to a love she still partly believes in. While knowing love alone isn't always enough against secrets and shadows one afternoon, Amy seeks solace on a solo trail ride, the wind and the vast landscape her companions. She finds herself at the lake, a place resonant with memories of shared summer days with Ty. Dismounting, she sits by the water's edge and finally lets the tears fall, not because he's back, but because she doesn't know how to navigate this new reality. The episode closes with a quiet lakeside encounter. Ty approaches, sitting beside her in silence for a time, listening to the water. Ty, softly, I never stopped loving you. Amy, turning towards him, voice trembling. Then why does this hurt so much? Narrator, the question hangs unanswered because true love doesn't erase pain. It holds it alongside hope. Days continue, but the emotional storm persists. Ty is physically present at Heartland, yet an emotional distance remains. Amy sees it in his averted gaze, love mixed with fear, regret, perhaps shame. He seems burdened by something heavy, something dangerous he won't share. The family navigates the situation cautiously, hesitant to push too hard. Jack's quiet observation reflects his unease, that gut feeling something is wrong. Lou's tension is more overt as she watches and probes subtly. Even Katie senses the shift. The man who was once integral to their story now feels like a stranger harboring a secret. So Amy remains caught between the love that shaped her and the silence threatening to unravel everything. She wants to believe him. She does believe him, but a persistent inner voice whispers, What aren't you telling me, Ty? That question becomes unavoidable when a black SUV arrives late one evening. A well-dressed, watchful man steps out, asking for Ty by name. Jack, wary, confronts him. Jack, who's asking, man? Agent Clay, government agency. Doesn't specify which. I need to speak to Ty, urgently, alone. Ty complies without argument or explanation, getting into the SUV. Amy watches from the window, heart pounding, as the vehicle drives away. Hours pass before Ty returns, offering no details. No one presses him, but Amy lies awake all night. The next morning, she finds Ty in the barn, saddling a horse as if nothing occurred, and confronts him. Amy, what was that about? Ty, avoiding her eyes. It's something I had to deal with. Amy, her calm breaking. That's not an answer. If you're back in our lives, you have to let us in, Ty. You can't disappear again, not emotionally, not physically, not now. Ty finally meets her gaze, his eyes filled with weariness, guilt, and something else. Ty, I made choices, Amy, bad ones. To protect you? To protect Lindy. I thought disappearing was the only way. I can't undo that. I wish I could. But there are things I did while I was gone, things I saw. I don't know if you'll ever look at me the same way again. Amy, voice shaking. Try me. Enta. He opens his mouth and closes it, walking away, widening the space between them once more. Meanwhile, rumors circulate in Hudson. Sightings of Thai fuel speculation. Is he a ghost? Did he fake his death? The town buzzes with theories and gossip. Amy can't escape the whispers, even at Maggie's. Lou attempts damage control, but it's futile. The media catches on. A blog posts an article, Ty Borden alive. Heartland Ranch holds its breath. Amy sees it and slams her laptop shut, knowing it's only a matter of time before someone digs deeper. Then the threat becomes personal. An envelope arrives, no return address. Inside, grainy photos of Ty in another city with strangers. One shows him seemingly in a hospital, another outside a building with unfamiliar symbols. On the back of one, a chilling sentence. Do you really know where he's been? Amy stares, hands trembling. Trust already fragile shatters further as her mind races. Who sent these? Why? What is Ty hiding that someone wants her to discover? She keeps the photos hidden, her heart heavy with doubt. The silence between them now feels not just painful but dangerous. Amy begins her own quiet investigation, searching online for the building, the symbols, contacting people discreetly. Her instincts, honed by years of running Heartland and raising Lindy alone, are on high alert. If someone is trying to scare her, it's working. The episode ends chillingly. Late at night, Ty fixes a fence outside. Amy watches from the porch, photos clutched in her hand, Lindy breathing softly inside. Unseen in the barn, a shadow moves quickly. The message is stark. Ty's return was never just about love. It was about survival. The atmosphere at Heartland has fundamentally changed. Hope has curdled into tension, wrapped in silence and suspicion. Amy navigates her days carrying this weight, doubt and love warring within her. Ty tries spending time with Lindy, working around the ranch, attempting to reconnect with a life that didn't wait for him. But Amy can't shake the feeling that the man who returned is fundamentally different from the one who left, because he is. Amy finally confides in Lou, showing her the envelope, the photos, the cryptic message. Lou turns pale, her protective instincts flaring. Lou, you need to tell him. Amy shakes head. Not yet. Not until I know what I'm looking at. Narrator, together, they investigate quietly. Lou identifies the building from one photo, a facility linked to a private medical research company with past government contracts, located in Vancouver, dated 2 years ago. The information destabilizes Amy further. If Ty was in Vancouver 2 years ago, why didn't he return then? Why now? The anonymous tormentor strikes again. Another envelope arrives containing only a short note. You think he left to protect you? Ask him who he really protected. The words hit Amy with physical force. She reads them repeatedly, realizing she'd focused on the how and where of Ty's absence, never the who. That night, she finds Ty in the barn again, the horses restless around them. Holding the note, she still can't show it, but asks directly, Amy, is there anyone else I should know about? Anyone who is part of whatever you went through. Ty freezes. Ty, slowly there were people, but none of them matter now. Amy steps closer. That's not an answer, Ty. He turns, vulnerability cracking through his guarded expression. Amy finally confides in Lou, showing her the envelope, the photos, the cryptic message. Lou turns pale, her protective instincts flaring. Lou, you need to tell him. Amy shakes head. Not yet. Not until I know what I'm looking at. Narrator, together, they investigate quietly. Lou identifies the building from one photo, a facility linked to a private medical research company with past government contracts, located in Vancouver, dated 2 years ago. The information destabilizes Amy further. If Ty was in Vancouver 2 years ago, why didn't he return then? Why now? The anonymous tormentor strikes again. Another envelope arrives containing only a short note. You think he left to protect you? Ask him who he really protected. The words hit Amy with physical force. She reads them repeatedly, realizing she'd focused on the how and where of Ty's absence, never the who. That night, she finds Ty in the barn again, the horses restless around them. Holding the note, she still can't show it, but asks directly, Amy, is there anyone else I should know about? Anyone who is part of whatever you went through. Ty freezes. Ty, slowly there were people, but none of them matter now. Amy steps closer. That's not an answer, Ty. He turns vulnerability cracking through his guarded expression. Ty, there was a girl. She was just a kid. Her family got pulled into something. I helped them. I stayed to make sure they were safe. Amy, heart sinking, you stayed for them while I was here, raising our daughter, mourning you. You were protecting someone else's family. Ty, voice rising desperate. It's not what you think. It was complicated. I thought I'd be gone months, maybe a year, but the deeper I got, the more dangerous it became. Coming back would have put all of you at risk. I didn't have a choice, Amy snaps. But you did, Ty. You always had a choice. And you chose to stay away. The barn feels cold. The horse is silent. Amy's voice breaks. Amy, do you know what it was like? To explain to Lindy her father was never coming home? How long before she stopped asking about you every night? Ty, voice barely a whisper. I missed everything. I know. I hate myself for it. Every single day. Tears fill Amy's eyes, but she refuses to cry more. She turns and walks out, leaving Ty alone in the dim light. Jack waits on the porch, having witnessed the exchange, understanding etched on his face the pain of betrayal, the complexity of loving someone who makes wrong choices. The next morning brings a new, tangible threat. The family discovers the barn doors open, horses spooked. One injured, a clear, deliberate message of intimidation. Lou calls the police, but Amy knows this is connected to Ty's past. Someone is watching, trying to scare them, perhaps hoping to force Ty away. And it almost works. Ty mentions leaving, just until things calm down, until he figures things out. But Amy cuts him off, resolute. Amy, you don't get to run again. T looks stunned. You don't get to decide when you show up and when you disappear. You're either in this family, Ty, or you're not, because Lindy's heart doesn't have a reset button. For the first time, Ty doesn't argue. He nods quietly, the weight of guilt crushing him. Amy sees it, but also recognizes his fear not of her or the past, but of what's still coming. Whatever Ty was involved in, it's not over, and Heartland may no longer be safe. The rhythm of Heartland is irrevocably altered, discordant, as if the land itself senses the danger. Horses are jumpy, the family tense. Amy has shed denial and false hope. She stands firmly in the eye of the storm, ready to face it. Ty remains, vigilant and haunted, sleeping lightly, checking locks, scanning shadows, afraid not for himself, but for them. Amy holds on to the second note, questioning who Ty protected, wanting the truth from him, not an anonymous source, but the truth finds its own way. While helping Lindy one morning, Amy discovers a folded paper in her backpack, not a drawing, but a typed warning. You're being watched. He's still lying. Amy's hands tremble. Someone got close enough to target her child. This transcends Ty's past. It's about family, safety, survival. She calls Lou instantly. Within hours, the family, Jack, Lou, Tim, even Peter, convenes around the kitchen table, faces grim with fear and anger. No more pretending. Amy lays everything on the table, the notes, the photos. Amy, voice firm looking at Ty. I need to know everything. No more protecting us with lies. That ends today.